Here is a scene we are all too familiar with. A woman armed with a tiny needle and a thread that just won't cooperate. And in the background, a cat who seems to find our sewing struggles, well, less than impressive. If you have ever found yourself squinting and poking at a needle eye, then I have good news for you. Our skeptical kitty here might think it's all pointless human behavior, but we are about to turn that around with the magic of self-threading needles. Maybe you are thinking, what's all the fuss about? I can thread a needle just fine on my own. Why should I bother with this one? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why self-threading needles are a must-have for everyone, not just those with less than perfect eyesight. You will see how they can save you time, reduce frustration, and even improve the quality of your work. So stick around. Hi, I'm Olga from hberry.com. Welcome to my channel all about sewing, embroidery and quilting. So, what exactly are self-threading needles? They are cleverly designed needles with a unique eye that make threading snap. Self-threading needles come in two primary types: the top threading type with two holes and the side threading type with one hole. Let's take a closer look at each. This type of needle features two eyes, one standard eye and one with slotted opening at the top. So why does it have two eyes? It serves a specific purpose. The top eye is what makes the needle self-threading. It has a slot that allows you to easily slip the thread into the eye. The second eye, it's located below the top slotted eye. It's a traditional eye and can be used in a conventional manner if you want, or if the self-threading feature is not suitable for your thread or fabric. Threading a self-threading needle can be done in two different ways, and you might find that one method works better for you than the other. Hold the needle with the eye facing up. Take the thread and approach the needle eye from above. Gently press the thread down into the slot. The second method. Hold the thread taut and horizontally. Position the needle with the eye facing down. Bring the needle down to the thread, allow the thread to slip into the eye. Try out both threading styles and see which one works for you. You might think that because threading these needles is so effortless, the thread could easily escape, right? Well, not quite. These needles are designed to hold the thread firmly in place once it's in. You will need to give it a good tug to get it out. This means that self-threading needles are suitable for all kinds of hand sewing, from delicate hand embroidery to sturdy repairs and sewing buttons. Most of the time your thread will stay put. But hey, no tool is perfect. There might be the odd occasion when the thread decides to take a little detour out of the needle. It's rare though, and usually down to the fabric texture, how you are holding the thread, or your stitch style. Let's take a closer look at the side threading needle. It looks like a regular needle but with a tiny notch on one side. Threading it is easy. Just nudge your thread sideways against the notch and it will pop right into the eye. Now, while side threading is pretty easy, it's not without its quirks. You will still want decent light and a bit of a sharp eye to get it right. And watch out for that notch. It can be a bit grabby with certain fabrics or threads and might lead to a snag or two. I use self-threading needles all the time, but not for the usual tasks like hand embroidery, basting, or sewing on buttons. They are perfectly suitable for those, of course, but I use them for different tasks. First off, I find them really useful for burying threads in my quilting projects. When I finish quilting and have those thread tails, I bring the needle thread down to the back or the bobbin thread up to the quilt top, as I'm doing it now for this demonstration. Then I tie a secure double knot by hand. Now I take a self-threading needle and thread it really fast with both threads. Then I insert the needle back into the quilt top, here near the tie-off point. Run it between the layers and then get it out a ½ inch or so away. I tug gently to draw the knot and the tail into the quilt layers and snip the thread close to the fabric. The thread tails disappear. By the way, this will be a wall hanging for my sewing room. I got this hilarious panel filled with sewing jokes. I call it Lazy Girl Quilting. Or you know what, let's spin that positively and call it Busy Girl Quilting. Because we all get a million things to juggle, right? I want to create a quilt without spending hours cutting and piecing. The second task where self-threading needles are very useful for me is when I'm working with my cover stitch machine. I love that machine. When I'm done cover stitching, I am left with two thread tails on the right side of the fabric and one thread tail on the wrong side. These thread tails are prone to unraveling if not secured properly. Very easy to come undone. Just look. So I take my trusty self-threading needle, slip the two tail threads and bring them through to the wrong side. Then I often thread all three thread tails onto a self-threading needle. The needle design accommodates with a multi-thread approach. Then I secure the threads as usual. Also, when all three thread tails are on the wrong side, you can also tie them together with a regular knot. This creates a secure end to the cover stitch that won't easily come undone. I also use self-threading needles to secure thread tails when I use my serger. Serger thread chains need to be secured sometimes to prevent unraveling. Not all the time. You need to handle the multiple threads since a serger chain can have 3 or 4 threads in it, depending on the serger settings. Start by separating the needle threads from the looper threads. Pull them apart so that you no longer have a chain, but individual threads instead. Take your self-threading needle and insert all of the threads through the needle eye at once if you have a 3-thread overlock stitch, or 2 at a time if you are working with a 4-thread overlock. Now secure the thread tails as usual and tie a knot close to the fabric edge. Okay, these are just a few ways I make self-threading needles work for me. Give them a try and you will wonder how you ever manage without them.